So the next question is, how can we become intentional around social media communications, and what are some of the key elements of an effective communications strategy? Anthony, you want to go with that one?
Yeah, I think when you think about this, and we've talked about this particular topic a few times over the past few virtual sessions and years here, but audience is important. And I think we have to consider our audience. Like, who exactly are we trying to communicate? What ways and what might motivate that particular audience, right? And so to kind of get towards that intentional aspect, we really have to think about who and how we want to communicate to a particular audience, right? Whether it's our member base, whether it's prospects, whether it's just the community itself. And secondly, I think that one big portion of strategy that I think is sometimes one of those aspects of just like, are we overthinking this? Is let's not be too complicated. We do a lot of great things in our temples, in our chapters, in the valleys, in your Blue Lodge. Let's take those, let's document them and share them. It doesn't have to be much more complicated than that. If we start getting into situations where we're manufacturing skits and doing things like that, that can really kind of lead you down the wrong way and be a lot of, a waste of time almost. So from a strategic standpoint, really looking at the audience, how do we align our messaging to relate to that particular audience? And then obviously, speaking of social media, there's various different channels to use, but let's not overthink the content that we're sharing, and let's try to communicate and convey what we do as an organization, right, through those channels in almost a demonstrative way. And I think that if we do that, then we'll start to resonate with the right audience that wants that information. The other aspect of it is to really break it down by, sometimes you break it down by objective, right? And there's a little exercise that we do. It's almost like if you wrote down your objectives across the top of a piece of paper, then you wrote down the types of audience that you want to communicate. Now you can start to choose how to fill that grid out. And when you look at a month or you look at a quarter, right, you can start to create those types of situations and scenarios throughout that particular month or quarter in that intentional type of way. So I think that really should give you guys a little bit of work to do. I think it should also give you a little lead on getting after some planning. So, but great question.
Yeah, it is a great question. Anthony, let me just follow up as it occurred to me. Talk just a second about the idea of what the temples are putting out there with regard to their websites and to make sure that things are fresh and refreshed and the calendar's accurate, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think when you start talking about the website itself, I think accuracy and just making sure that there's continuous maintenance done to that website. I think we all get as frustrated as anybody when we go to a site and we find out that the last time they published anything in their calendar was 2023. Well, it's May of 2024. And so the more we can do that, the better. And then obviously when we start looking at how that has a relationship to what we do in social, we use that website, right, as a destination. We want to drive traffic to that website to gather more information. And so if we are essentially gardening our site, right, gardening the content on our site on a regular basis and utilizing that in social to drive users back to that more engaged experience, then we're essentially one step ahead of the game. We're providing our users with what they want and allowing them to connect with us on multiple levels, digitally, I guess, from that standpoint, whether it's through the website, through the contact form, calling the temple directly, through Messenger, through your Instagram chat, something of that nature.
So it's all designed together. It's not like it's silos. The whole thing needs to be integrated.
Correct. Yeah. It's, and this is where you've probably heard this term, digital experience. That's where, we're really looking at the digital experience, not just one-dimensionally or by one channel. We're looking at that digital experience that should connect to users on every channel and have that unified communication.